When we talk about agriculture, most people think that it's just to grow plants and raise animals. But agriculture is a concept more complex than that. Agriculture is the base of the global economy and our survival. Without food, we can live, and without the farmers, we can have enough food in our homes. So that's the important role of the agriculture. Around the world, there's a lot of practices of agriculture with different focus. Some techniques are used from ancient times and some are more recent. Some respond to the principle of produce as much as possible without taking care about the effect to the environment, the health of the society, and that's why the agriculture is responsible and is affected as well for the climate change and the greenhouse effect. So that's why they have been developed some techniques or practices of producing in agriculture by being responsible to the environment and with the diversity and giving healthy food to the customers. So some of these practices are, one example of this is the sustainable agriculture. That is an important topic right now in the agriculture. So what is sustainable agriculture? Agriculture often places a significant pressure on natural resources and environment. So, sustainable agriculture is practices are intended to protect the environment, to expand the air's natural resources base, and maintain and improve soil fertility. So, in agriculture, sustainability is a complex idea with many facets, including the economic, because a sustainable farm should be a profile business and contributes to the robust economy. Another can be the social, because it should deal fairly with its workers and have a mutual beneficial relationship with the surrounding communities. And the environmental part. So there are several general principles that we can use in sustainable agriculture. For example, the selection of species and varieties that are well sustained to the side of the condition of the farm. Another is the diversification of crops because including livestock and cultural practices to exchange the biological and economic stability of the farm. Another can be the management of the soil to exchange and predict soil quality, the efficient on human use of input, and the consideration of farmer goals and lifestyle choices that is an important topic in sustainable agriculture. So, the principal goals in sustainable agriculture are the productivity that is to grow enough food and fiber to meet human needs. Another, the stewardship, that is exchange the quality of land, water, and air and make the most efficient use of non-renewable resources. Another is the profitability that maintain the economy, viability of farm and ranches, and the quality of life that promotes the resilience and well-being of producers, their families, and society as a whole. So the best practices are marketing, that is a diversity of marketing techniques can make a farm more resilient to market fluctuation and unexpected production challenge that is very common in agriculture because we are working with crops, we are working with animals, we can control in all of the aspects. So social, another can be the social resilience. Agriculture is both hard work and is also a way of life, and that is why that is critical that our farmers, farm workers, and farm families are driven. So another aspect that we can consider it is the ecological pest management. That is an important topic that is taking care of the crops in agriculture because there is not much that troubles farmers and ranchers more than weeds, insect pests, and disease. The ecological strategies producer used to limit the pest damage, including exchanging diversity of the farm, using practices that create a healthy crop habitat, and applying pesticide carefully, and as a last resort, and reducing on-farm inputs. Another can be the climate resilience, because in many ways the principle of sustainability work as a strategy of management and risk sustainable with erratic water and the climate change. Another, the nutrient management, that well manages is a properly apply of farm nutrient sources, such as my manure or leguminous cover crops that are the most common in this topic, boil to help the boil salt, protect water quality, and reduce purchase fertilizant cost. Another, the rotation grazing and pasture management, because sustainable livestock operation combines many shapes and size. So, but they have one thing in common. They are carefully managing their livestock on renewables and pasture in order to stimulate and maintain the health of the land, and exchange the quality of their forages and meet their business goals. Another is the conservation still and soil health, because soil conservation practices such as strip till and no-till help prevent soil loss from wind and water erosion that are the most common erosion in agriculture. Conservation technical system also help minimize soil compactation, that is another common problem in agriculture, and conserve water and store carbon to help offset greenhouse gas emission. Another, the cover crops and soil health, because growing plants such as rice, clover, and beet after harvesting a crush crop, can provide multiple benefits, because including the waste and insect suppression, erosion control, carbon storage, and improved soil health. We can use also farm energy conservation and production, because farmers and ranchers are using energy saving device with turbines and solar power. So we're also learning how to grow and process their whole food. So these practices not only make farm operation more profitable, they clean and efficient, so they help reduce the dependence of the foreign oil and reduce the greenhouse gas emission. That is another problem in agriculture. So another subtopic that is very important in agriculture is regenerative agriculture. So what is regenerative agriculture? Regenerative agriculture describes farming and grazing practice that, among other benefits, uh, rebase the climate change by rebuilding soil organic material and restoring the decreased soil biodiversity, resulting in both carbon drawdown and improving the water cycle. So, why regenerative agriculture? Why we have to practice it and what is important? The loss of the world fertility and soil biodiversity, along with the loss of indigenous seeds and knowledge, that is a big problem in agriculture right now, pose a mortal threat to our future survival. Because according to the soil scientists, an current rate of soil destruction like descarbonization, erosion, desertification, chemical pollution that are very common in the practices of agriculture. Without 7 years, we will not only suffer serious damage to public health due to quality of the food supplied, characterized by the diminution nutrition and loss of the important trace mineral, but we will literally no longer have enough arable topsoil to feed ourselves. And that's the big problem, because without protecting and regenerating the soil, um, we will be impossible to feed the world. So how does it work? The key of regenerative agriculture is that it not only does not harm to land but improves it, using technologies and regenerate and revitalize the soil and the environment. Regenerative agriculture lends the healthy soil, capable of producing high qualities, nutrient dense of food wild. And that's a good aspect in regenerative agriculture, but sustainably improving rather than the green land, and ultimately leading to produce farms and healthy communities and economies. And it is a dynamic and holistic. incorporating permaculture, that is new practices in agriculture, and organic farming practices, including conservation tillage, cover crops, crop rotation, composting, mobile animal shelters, and pasturing croppings to increase food production, to help in farmers' income, and especially topsoil. So, some common practices in regenerative agriculture are aquaculture, that is a common agriculture that wants to produce fish but in water bodies, but in control. Another is agroecology, agroforestry, that is a technique in agriculture that try to produce agriculture crops and forest crops. Biochar, compost that we can use for the rest of animals or food, and we can create a compost and then incorporate that to the plants because they give minerals and nutrients. Holistic plant grazing, now pasture cropping, perennial crops, silvopastoral, that is a common practices that try to produce one and in a forest. So we can say that a global shift to regenerative agriculture can feed the world, can decrease the greenhouse emission, reverse the climate change, improve yields, create droughts, resistant soil, preserve traditional knowledge, nature soils, and restorages. So, another important topic in agriculture is the biological control that is taking a big impact right now in agriculture. So, what is the biological control? Biological control of pests, weeds, and disease is an integral part of successful indoor pest management plant. So, biological control is the management of pests using their natural enemies. And these natural enemies is called the biological control agent and is an organism such as virus, insect, or plant disease. So biological control, I already said, is a component of an integrated pest management strategy because it is defined as the reduction of pest population by natural enemies and typically involves an activity human role. Keep in mind that all insect species are also suppressed by natural occurring organisms and environmental factors with no human input. So, some examples of these are the predators that are mainly free-living species that consume a large number of prey during their lifetime. Another can be the parasitoids, are species who in mature stage develop and are waiting in single insect host, ultimately killing the host. Another are the pathogens, are disease causing organisms including bacteria, fungi, and virus. They kill or debilitate their host and are relatively specific to certain insect groups. So, the conservation of the natural enemies is probably the most important and really available biological control because practice is able to growers. Natural enemies occur in all production systems, in all. From the backyard garden to the commercial field, they are adapted to the local environment and to the target pest. And their conservation is generally simple and cost effective. So that's why it's so important to conserve the natural enemies of the pest. And this is the biolarvae. I take all the information for this presentation. Thank you very much.